If you haven't gone to NTTFGPOD.com and subscribed, then you're tripping like Joe Biden getting on Air Force One. I'm Rock.
And I'm Archie.
Well, our opinions, they might not matter to some, but...
What are you doing in there?
It's a podcast.
Immature, crass, trashy. And those are their good qualities. These poor schmucks are a couple of IQ points away from eating paste. But when it comes to music, sports, and comedy, well, that's all they know. You're listening to
Not These Two Fucking Guys.
Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast.
What do you think of this thing right here?
Looks good. I like it. Looks beefy.
No, my beard.
Oh, nice. Girthy.
My beard.
Oh, beard. Sorry.
Oh, goddamn right. I am so excited right now. Ask me why.
Because Bologna's on sale on ShopRite.
Really?
Oh.
I fucking hate bologna, by the way.
Wait.
Hate it. Do you like bologna? Seriously? Do you like bologna?
All right, dude, let me tell you something. You are, all right, mortadella?
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, yeah, it's Italian. I like it. You are, it hurts because I find you as a fine connoisseur
of deli meat,
sodium-packed fucking cold cuts, and you hate bologna.
Yeah, bologna because it's
disrespectful. It's fucking disrespectful.
I probably haven't eaten a slice of bologna in about 15 years.
Really?
Yeah, I would never.
You ever had a fried bologna sandwich?
I don't think I've ever had a fried bologna sandwich. Have you?
Listen, I quit the podcast again.
Well, what condiments would you put on a fried bologna sandwich?
All right, so I eat it for breakfast. I used to eat it back in the day.
Okay.
Fried bologna, right?
Okay.
Picture how you fry Taylor ham up, right?
Got it.
Fried bologna, Wonder, white bread.
Okay.
A little bit of mustard.
No cheese?
No. What are you, fucking stupid?
Oh my
God.
no.
You fry it. It's terrible.
All right, so ask me why I'm excited.
You are excited because...
I'm excited because one of my favorite bands of all time, LOA, Life of Agony, is coming out with a documentary called The Sound of Scars.
I saw that. And don't say one of your favorite bands. The Life of Agony, I'm going to say, is your definitive favorite band of all time.
You are fucking right, my fine feathered friend.
You mentioned this documentary to me. I watched the trailer and was like, let's fucking go.
It looks like it's done very well, correct?
Yes, very well produced and like totally fucking, yeah. Right on.
Directed by Lee Brooks. Visit soundofscars.com and you will see a trailer. The trailer's fucking dope. Two NTTFG alum, Sean the Butcher and Eddie Trunk, who were on in season 1, both put out reviews and they both said pretty much the same thing. It looks like this is done very well and it's deep, it's fucking moving, it shows the Brooklyn-based band at its core, and I fucking can't wait, homie.
Dude, so when you told me about the documentary and I saw the trailer and I went into a YouTube rabbit hole, as the kids say.
Yes.
And they were like talking about L'Amour, which we played, which was a great experience. You broke your fucking ankle, jump off the stage. Yeah.
My ankle still hurts from that show. Good.
They showed, so L'Amour is called something like Red Wolf now or something like that, and they superimposed what it looked like as L'Amour, as a classic rock club. You know, just interviews with like, you know, bands they were friends with, like Biohazard and like that kind of stuff. And I gotta be honest with you, it was a little weird hearing like, so like guys that knew Mina Caputo, who is Keith Caputo, but like talking about him as her now in a pronoun, being like, yeah, you know, back in the day we snuck her in our bass drum case and like it's like different, but like that was, you know, I think a big part of Life of Agony was the agony he was living in, her was living in.
Yep.
just not being comfortable in her own skin.
I
That's
know.
pretty big, dude.
And in this documentary showing, I think Alan quoted saying something, Alan's the bass player, saying something like, she's out of his shell now.
Yeah.
It's like living her best life.
Yeah.
Like this is a lot what the documentary is about, and you're going to say it. This documentary, it comes out April 16th, and you could pre-order. You can go there now, soundofscars.com, and start streaming April 16th for a limited time. Now, I'm going to watch it. Even notfest.com, notfest.com wrote a review saying The Sound of Scars is an important music documentary where the Brooklyn Quartet embraced the demons at the heart of their music. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, I think for some reason, now, Life of Agony, I think you can attest to this, is that, in their genre, for what they do, they're a big band. They're known. People will always be like, River Runs Red, bro, one of the best albums of all time, which I love. Ugly. I love River Runs Red, but Ugly is one of my favorite albums. Anyway.
And you are, so go ahead.
Ooh. But I think this documentary is going to do something for them. I don't know. I have a feeling. And I'm not saying, I just think they're going to, it's just crazy how, they were huge back in the day. You go overseas, you go to Europe, you go to fucking Holland, they're fucking huge. They play festivals and shit. And then we go to and they come over here. We go to St. Vitus and we see them at Starland Ballroom playing in front of 1,000 people. 800 people. But anyway, I think this documentary is going to push them over the edge somewhere, somehow, some way. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I think this documentary is done so well. The art looks so good. The footage looks fucking great. The behind the scenes, the way the stories tell, the way the story looks like it's going to be told.
The production value looks like it's a major motion picture. Like it's really good, right? And it's and we're lucky enough to have met Joey Z, recorded a couple things with him.
Yep.
Awesome dude. And like just hearing about like their upbringing, like him and Mina, their cousins living together, and like what their backstory was. And even like in the trailer, you see how like Alan Robert gets emotional for them because like he was so close to them, and that was their friend, and it seems like a very intriguing. Listen, we love LOA. Even if you're not a fan or don't know who they are, it feels like an intriguing documentary to watch.
Exactly. What I was going to bring up is that if nothing happens, I think they'll just get a little bit bigger of a fan base. Like, people will start checking them out. People will start streaming more music, might go to more shows. If anything, the one thing that I thought about that I'm a little intrigued about is if any, they talk about the transition of Sal and Veronica.
Yeah.
If they just say, hey, we went our separate ways, or if they get into it a little bit. I'm curious to see. But either or, I can't wait. Like I said, my favorite band, Life of Agony, official trailer. Go on YouTube, The Sound of Scars, soundofscars.com. Purchase it. I'll purchase it. Rocco is going to purchase it. We're watching it. And everybody out there, check it the fuck out.
On behalf of Archie and I, Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast would like to offer our sincerest condolences to the family of marvelous Marvin Hagler, one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time. Arch, he reminds me of when I was younger and like I'd watch boxing with my dad.
Okay.
He was probably, what I'll say, the best middleweight of all time. He fought the best: Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran. The size he was for the weight class, and just a complete boxer that people say now, like who's out there, like Triple G.
Yeah.
And people say that in a fantasy fight he would beat Triple G pretty easily, and Triple G is like the gold standard of today's boxing.
Gotcha.
I was kind of put onto him when I was younger. My cousin Benny, this was like his idol of boxing, combat sports. What a complete boxer. What a complete athlete he was.
Yes, he was.
It's sad that, lost him at a super young age in his 60s.
Wasn't he from 80 to 87, 12 defenses off his title?
Yeah.
I read that somewhere.
Yeah, he wasn't touched, dude. He was
fucking unbelievable, bro.
He was that good. Yeah.
Like, fucking 7 years. People try to take his title away, and he's like,
no.
Ain't not this day. Not today.
We hold this near and dear to our heart. Born in Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
It's gone too soon, though. Gone too soon.
66.
In his 60s and 66. Yeah, way too young. It's not just us talking about it or like sportscasters talking about it. When you hear his contemporaries, people in the boxing world saying, man, this guy was the real deal.
Yeah.
That's kind of all you have to know about it.
67 fights, 62 wins, 52 knockouts, 3 losses, and 2 draws. He stepped into the ring, and these are just fights, forget about sparring, forget about, 67 professional fights, lost 3 times.
Think about that. And boxing, you're doing a full training camp. 67 training camps of minimum 4 weeks. Most of them are 8 weeks. This guy dedicated his life, lost 3 times, and looked through his record, fought the who's who of boxing, and he came up in an era, and we were just talking about this, and I forget when it was, but I think we were talking with Chris Santos.
Yes,
he came from the era where in boxing the best guys fought the best guys.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Marvin Hagler, one of a kind, and a legend of the sport. Arch.
Yo.
You ready, pal? This one, I've been waiting for this one for a long time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I am super stoked tonight. We are big fans. Our guest this week is a restaurateur, an author, a record label owner, a TV star, and a celebrity chef. Welcome to Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast, Mr. Chris Santos. What's up, dude?
You make me sound so fucking fancy there.
What's going on, man?
I'll take it. Everything is going on. It's been a hell of a year. We're getting back to reality. They're starting to open up restaurants all across the country, and just trying to keep my wits about me. We're having a little bit of trouble. I think a lot of people had a lot of time to reflect in the restaurant industry, and a lot of them have decided they're not coming back to it, or they just want to take a little more time before until things are really back to normal. So we are struggling a little bit to get enough staff. So we're scrambling, but it's all goes with the paycheck. But yeah, I keep myself busy, man. We got a lot to talk about. I can get into all that. Those things you listed are there, and there's more behind that too. I try to keep myself out of trouble. People ask me why I do so many things. It's just so I can get myself in trouble.
Well,
that's great.
First of all, is that an electric kit behind you?
That is. I don't know if yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's the new TD50. That's like the state of the art guy.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, we started playing drums when I was a teenager, and I had I was in bands up into my 30s, and then I stopped completely. And this was one of my pandemic/quarantine things. Was like I might as well put the time to good use. So I bought the set, and I'm still pretty mediocre, but it's fun now because I've got a lot of friends in metal who are like big A-list heavy metal guys. And,
yeah.
They're all like, dude, get your chops up and we'll write a song and you can release it on your label, which
that's
is kind of an interesting place to be, that I can actually do that. You know what I mean? So I'm actually, I'm not going to drop names, but I'm talking to people that were my heroes when I was a teenager about actually writing some stuff. And it's so easy now because you don't even have to be in the same room anymore. You can just,
I know.
Yep.
I mean, it's better and it's more fun to be in the same room, but you can just transfer files and stuff now. It's crazy.
During this pandemic, Rocco and I, we always mention this on the podcast, but we call ourselves hometown heroes. We've been in a band for years, but never went anywhere. play some good shows. Rocco and I and the guitar player will send files back and forth from this pandemic, right? You know, like we'll write stuff and we'll just email them, check this out. You know, it's very easy. So the one cool thing about this whole situation is that just easier to do from home, almost everything, you know?
Yeah. I think it's why I can't get staff to come back to the restaurants. Where are you guys located?
Jersey.
We're northern New Jersey.
Northern New Jersey, like
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm living in LA now. Sunny LA. I lived in New York City for 27 years.
All right.
The last 4, I was kind of going back and forth, and then I really liked it out here, so I bought a house with my wife, and it's beautiful. I'm basically living the northern New Jersey life on the West Coast. I got the backyard, I got the pool, I got all the things that I have in New York City.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, but I miss New York. I'm going back for a few weeks to shoot my Food Network show and to open up some restaurants, and I can't wait. I haven't seen my friends in like almost a year. It's ridiculous.
Nothing like New York and New Jersey, man. You know, I'm sure you've been around the world. Just it's home, you know?
Yeah.
It's unique.
I mean, nothing against LA, but I need some of that New York pizza in my life.
Well, real quick, I just wanted to say one thing that not only are Rocco and I big metalheads and we love comedy and sports, hence our podcast,
Right.
but grilling is one of our passions. And once a year, Rocco and I will have a meat day and he'll do the brisket. I'm a huge rib guy. I'll do the ribs.
Very nice.
And I told Rocco before we had you on, I'm like, yo, this year we're doing the Jaeger the Jaeger ribs.
Yes.
I have to do this now.
Let me tell you, the black cherry Jägermeister ribs with orange. It's a black cherry soda that basically you reduce with my barbecue sauce, and then like slices of orange and mint. And you obviously, which it's an oven braise. It's really, you finish them on the grill, but you braise them slow in the oven.
Yeah.
It's fucking unbelievable. It's like the best. It's just, I don't know. I mean,
I can't wait.
I've been working for Jägermeister for like 7-8 years. I've developed over 100 recipes for them. I'm kind of like their chef on the team. And everything that we've made is delicious. And kind of that's sort of my job with Jägermeisters, to kind of show people that it's a little bit more versatile than just a shot,
Yeah.
But by far, my favorite recipe are those ribs. So yeah, for sure.
I can't wait.
We need to make them.
I usually do like a coffee rub. And I thought I was like, light years away. I'm like, Rock, you gotta check this out, bro. It's a coffee rub.
I'll send you guys some of my barbecue sauce too, which has coffee in it. Coffee grounds too.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait.
That's awesome. So before we get into like the record label stuff, talk about obviously that you were making reference to how the pandemic has really hurt the food industry and restaurant industry specifically. But talk about some of the struggles like in this past year, like what you've dealt with personally.
Well, I mean, for starters, so I'm a partner in a very big restaurant hospitality company, and we have about 40 venues nationwide, as well as in Singapore and Sydney, Australia. So worldwide, we have about over 5,000 employees, and we had to lay off almost 5,000 employees. So that was devastating. But the flip side of it is we all banded together and we started our own nonprofit, and we all hit the pavement, and we raised, I think close to $3 million, and we've been basically paying people's rent, people's grocery drives, diaper drives. We paid for a bunch of funerals of like people who lost their,
Wow.
You're a dishwasher. You don't really probably, it sucks the way it works. But the dishwashers are the heart and soul of any restaurant. They're the hardest working people in the building. They make the least amount of money. The system's broken in that way, and I'm not quite sure how to fix it myself. But you lose your mother to COVID, you don't have a way to pay for her funeral. You know what I mean? So we were able to do some good in that, which was good. For me personally, I got COVID and I was very sick. That sucked.
Oh, wow.
That was, I saw Kiss at the Staples Center on March 5th of last year.
Okay.
And I flew back home on the 6th. I didn't feel good on the 7th. By the 9th, I was like completely fucked. But my doctor prescribed me as like the COVID was like just starting to be talked about.
Yep.
So I had antibiotics for I guess a week or 10 days, whatever it is. And by the time that run was through, I was even worse. And then I got a COVID test and I had it, and I was in bed for 38 days straight.
Wow.
And probably should have gone to the hospital a couple of days, but didn't need a ventilator. I'm not trying to say that, but there were a couple of days where it was really bad. But the idea of going to a hospital and being surrounded by all of that, I just couldn't deal with it. I feel like if I did that, I would have gone downhill. So I just, but I was, it was the worst cough I've ever had in my life, the worst chills for days on end. And just the fatigue is like crazy. Like, I'm 50 years old, so I got to get up in the middle of the night to take a leak. And I couldn't will myself out of bed to do that some nights. Like, that's how tired I was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was crazy, but I got through it, and I actually just got the first of 2 vaccine shots, so I'm psyched about that.
Good.
But yeah, the year's just been really just trying to keep the morale up with our restaurant staff. Also with the record label, like all the bands, we had bands that released records right before or right during the pandemic that were supposed to, go out on the road and tour and support it. Obviously, the concert industry was shut down. So that sucked. So, there's, all of it has sucked. But the silver lining to this is that if we can get back to some semblance of normal, I think that concerts, going out to eat, like going to Broadway theater, whatever, going to a movie, going to a museum, whatever it is, like I think people are going to come out in droves, and I think businesses are going to be really healthy because we all took that shit for granted.
Yep.
I know I did. I'm a huge metalhead. I go to as many concerts a year as I can go to. I always took it for granted. Having those taken away from me for last year, like
I know.
The minute I can go safely, like I'm going to hit as many shows as I can. We hope, that the same thing's going to apply to our restaurants. The restaurants are always busy, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but sometimes the restaurants aren't quite so busy on a Monday night. I think at least initially, I think Monday nights are going to be crazy. I think people once people really can feel comfortable getting out of the house, I think it's going to be the Roaring 20s all over again.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's almost it's like, and it's just we got to talk about it, but it's almost like we're fucking sick of talking about it. Like, all right, let's go. Enough now, right?
Now, my one fear about that is I'm right with you. Totally sick of it. My one fear, though, is that people start, especially the vaccine. My one fear is that, like, there's still a lot of people out there who don't want to take the vaccine.
Yeah.
And that's their, I don't want to get political or anything. That's their choice. But I'm worried that among those who aren't vaccinated, I just feel like there is the chance that people could relax and we could just get another one of these big giant spikes again, and then have to go backwards again and shut the restaurants down again and shut the fucking Again. So I'm hopeful that doesn't happen, but I've been through it. Some of my restaurants have actually open, closed, like to this whole thing. So
oh wow,
it's been weird, Be interesting to see how, like, I think Texas, right? Texas just like ripped the Band-Aid off and said, "Fuck it, let's."
Texas was like, "Let's go."
I heard like the Texas Rangers, when baseball opens, they're gonna allow full capacity, which is it's kind of crazy to start off like that.
Dana White just said in Florida in April in full crowd. I think doing full crowd in Florida in April is crazy, but. What are you going to do? I don't know. I can see people are. I can speak for my own family. My mother's 82 years old, and like, she's like super cool. Like we competed together 2 years ago on my Food Network show, and we won. Right? Like, she's awesome, but like, she hasn't left her house in a year. She hasn't seen her family. We haven't seen her in a year. She's not comfortable going out. So my sister lives about an hour away and, brings her groceries, I guess once or twice a week or whatever. But she's not left the house, and she's lonely and she's depressed, and she got her first vaccine shot. So as soon as she gets her second, I'm going to fly her here so she can, so I can see her. But it's real. They're like, some people are really like, I'm very busy. I'm fortunate in that way, but like, I have a lot of really good friends back in New York, best friends who are really going through it right now. They lost their job, they're barely scraping by with unemployment, and it's just, it's like you talk about the entire talking about it. It's like just living it is like a fatigue.
Yeah.
It's you're helpless. It's a fatigue of being helpless, not being able to do anything about it. Like I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I run my life on a daily basis, and now all of a sudden I can't do that anymore. I can't run my life. I can't run my restaurants. I can't do the normal things. I can't go to a fucking grocery store without a mask. Like, I don't mind wearing the mask personally, but it's just like we've all given control over, and We're all control freaks, really. We're all control freaks. At least I am. I'm a giant control freak.
I tell you what, you talk about your mother. I called my mother last month. I'm like, Ma, where are you? She's like, AC. What the fuck? I'm like,
girl, I like it.
80 years old. Yeah, no. It's good. It's okay down here. They sanitize. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Ma, come on. No. All right.
I love it.
Okay.
That's great. That's amazing.
So, two opposite end of the spectrum, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I tried to tell her, I'm like, listen, you got to relax, you got to calm down, you know, and she was always on the go for her whole fucking life, and telling an 80-year-old woman now, stay home and don't go out and don't do this. I can't, like, I have to fucking police you. Like, what are you going to do here?
Right. Yeah.
But,
good for her, though.
Yeah,
That's great.
hey, living her best life.
Yeah, see, like Archie and I are like you. Love going out to eat. Love going out. Hit up as many concerts as we can, and like that kind of thing. And I feel like the whole not going to a concert thing is like starting to get to me. You know, we haven't been on a stage in since December 2019, right?
Yep.
Never would have thought that would have happened. But not going to a show and not seeing live music has really like starting to get to me now, especially now the warmer months are coming in New Jersey. No,
for sure, and it's like, and it's hardest. I think it's really hard. I guess it's hard. I don't know. I guess it's hard for anything, but you know, when I'm a huge metal guy, like you can't socially distance in a mosh pit. You know what I mean? It's just no such thing. You know what I mean?
Could you imagine a fucking? I want to see a pit social.
Right?
6 feet apart.
Or like a wall of death. They run towards each other, but then they stop 6 feet apart.
6 feet apart.
now at the new Lamb of God show, the wall of distance.
But you know, I think the venues in New York right now can open up 33% or whatever. But I mean, how do you control where people stand and stuff, and like the smaller clubs and stuff? I mean, you're gonna rope it off. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
weird. It's weird. The whole thing is fucking weird. But I think it's coming back. So I think, you know, a year from now, with any luck, we'll be talking about how awesome. You know, there's going to be the flip side of this is that every single band in the universe wants to get on the road.
Yeah.
So there's almost going to be too many shows. You're going to have to pick and choose. Like, but I guess that's not a bad thing. I don't know.
An abundance of touring. Yeah.
Yeah. So Danny Wimmer Productions does all the big rock festivals across America, you know, like Chicago Open Air and Louder Than Life. And so Louder Than Life in Louisville in September and Aftershock in California are both still confirmed.
Okay.
And I did talk to him the other day, and he said that they are definitely, I mean, unless something weird happens, they're a go. So I'm going to go to both of those festivals, and I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Now, I know that they announced, like, this was like a year ago, but didn't he have a certain festival with like Metallica doing like those nights on it? Yeah.
So they were going to do, they weren't going to do every single weekend, but they were going to do, I think, 8 of them or 6 of them. And they were going to play on Friday night and Sunday night. They were going to headline.
Yes, correct.
And it was funny because one of the ideas that I pitched him, because we are dabbling with working with each other. COVID fucked that up too. But one of the things, you know, I'm friends with, I'm not friends with the entire band, but I'm good friends with Rob Trujillo from Metallica. Nice. And I pitched him on this idea and we were kind of exploring it, and then all the festivals canceled, that, you know, since they were headlining Friday and they were headlining Sunday, maybe me and Rob could get together on Saturday and throw like a barbecue for, like, you know, 200 fans that, you know, pay an extra premium price.
That's awesome.
Come in and hang out with Rob and, you know, get barbecue from me or whatever. But we never got past like one initial conversation because COVID.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
On your site, talk about beauty in Essex. That seems to be like,
my wife is dying to go there.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
So I'm a partner in Tower Group Hospitality. We have several restaurants, like I said, all different brands, but Beauty in Essex is my baby. It's, you know, I co-founded it with this guy, Rich Wolf, who's retired now, but, or semi-retired, I should say. But I conceptualized the whole place. It's a really, really, the initial store is in New York. It's on Essex Street, which used to be kind of grimy. So what we did is we put a pawn shop in the front, kind of like this really kind of almost like 70s influenced, you know, buy jewelry and things like that. And then you go through a secret door, and then the restaurant is absolutely huge.
Nice. So cool.
And it really, you know, it was an overnight sensation. And so then we took it to Las Vegas. Our 5-year anniversary is actually coming up in May. And then
Congrats.
we took it to LA, which our 4-year anniversary was just yesterday, actually.
All right.
And then we've got nothing official, but we are definitely exploring, other cities. We're exploring Chicago for sure, Miami, everywhere, pretty much. So I would expect that once the world comes back to normal and we can get a little bit more aggressive, we're gonna definitely aim to open more of them, and maybe some outside of the country too. It's funny, a restaurant in England, not in London, but I forgot the name of it, where it was. Someplace completely ripped it off. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Oh God!
Like everything. Like it must have been somebody. It wasn't somebody from our team. We figured it must have been somebody from the design firm, the architectural firm that helped us build it and design it. Because they built the same exact thing in England.
Really?
But it went out of business within 6 months. So
you got yours.
yeah, great, you know what I mean? Like we were trying to figure out whether or not we wanted to do a cease and desist, because the problem with England is and Europe in general is, if you lose the case, you not only lose whatever you lose, but you also have to pay for the opposite team's legal fees.
Wow. Yeah.
So we were trying to figure out if it was even worth it or not. Like, and then before we could even do it, they collapsed on themselves. So we were like, yes, karma.
Fuck 'em.
But whatever.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't understand it. I mean, it's okay to be inspired. Listen, as chefs, I mean, like, nobody's got an original idea. Like, let me put it to you this way. Like, if you have a burger on your menu, like, you're technically stealing from every restaurant that has ever had a burger on the menu, or every burger that you have ever eaten. You know what I mean? But you just take the burger and you make it your own. Like, I can understand taking elements of what we do or what I've done, but like taking my whole restaurant literally, it was really unbelievable. I would show people and they would just be slack jawed. Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Like, totally crazy. But whatever, that's over.
Arch, what's the quote that you told me is I forget who said it.
Good artists borrow, great artists steal.
There you go.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right? Exactly. It's funny. I just realized I've been living here since May. My wife is super healthy. She's an actress, and she's she's not from LA, but she's been here a lot longer than me. Mm-hmm. But I just realized as I'm sitting here looking, I have 3 beverages sitting next to me, and I just realized just how California I'm becoming. I just left the gym. I work out with Freddie Roach. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I work out with Freddie Roach. So this is Gatorade mixed with something called colostrum. Colostrum is it's the first milk. So like when a cow gives birth, their first milk is basically humans.
Yes.
Humans have found a way to steal it and turn it into a powder and sell it to humans. But it's like super nutrient dense.
Okay.
Then I've got my green juice, which is cucumber, celery, spinach, lemon, ginger, and cayenne. And then I've got my blood orange THC CBD drink.
There you go.
So I'm drinking juice and being healthy while also drinking THC while I'm talking to you guys.
I love it. That's
fantastic.
I'm officially an Angelino.
You want to know what? We'd be doing the same thing, but with a shot of Jaeger.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually I'm actually turning 50 on next Friday, and
Cool.
So I've been doing a dry period, trying to just get my weight down, and I want to look good on my 50th birthday, and then all bets are off. I'll start slamming Jaeger again.
Anything planned? I know it's going to be hard, but I'm saying
my restaurants are actually reopening that day, or really the day before. So
Okay.
So there's no plan. I think my wife had designs on a 50th birthday, like a surprise party in New York, but none of that's happening. But it's okay. I did it all. I've done it. Like I've done it all. So yeah. I don't need this anymore. I'm good. I'm 50.
Just give me some food. We'll hang out a little bit. Say hello. I'll see you back at the house.
Exactly.
So I fancy myself as someone who's like interested and was always like not like studying the food world, but I came across you for the first time with the Stanton Social.
Yeah,
and that was like a game changer, definitely ahead of its time. for what it was. And do you attribute that to like what really kicked you off, like to be known?
Yeah. So thank you. Those are kind words, because I appreciate that. I opened a restaurant in 98 that was a really tiny place, 27 seats. And I got my first New York Times review, and it kind of put me on the map, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And 9/11 happened, and yada yada yada. So I did have a restaurant before that did give me got me in the Times review and stuff like that. But Stanton Social was the first one that did put me on the map, and it was because I stopped kind of trying to. I think up until that point, I as a chef, wherever I worked, or if I owned the place, or if I was just the chef, I was like always trying to figure out, what do people want? What do people want? What do people want? And instead of like with Stanton Social, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give them what I want.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And that all comes down to my ethos of everything should be shared. And, it's really communal. Nowadays it's kind of pretty standard. I think that people kind of share a lot of their food. I'm not saying I was the first person to ever do it, but I was one of the first. But, in the 90s when I was coming up, or even in the 80s, late 80s, when I was in culinary school or whatever, it was still very much like, you go to a restaurant, you order your appetizer, your entree, and your dessert, and you would order yours, and nobody shares anything.
Yeah.
And, I always felt like if I went to go see Metallica, but I only got to select 3 songs.
Yeah.
So this way, what I did with Stanton Social was everything's kind of small. Everything's kind of meant everyone's supposed to get like one bite of everything. But instead of getting 3 things, you're getting 12 things or 14 things. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And people really responded to it. And so Stanton Social was an overnight hit. And it's actually funny, kind of going back to Beauty in Essex. I didn't have any. I've never had any money. I didn't come from money. And had to borrow money for Stanton Social. And then I finally made the money back, and then I started making money. And then so the Beauty in Essex space was right around the corner. It was an old furniture store. And basically we signed the lease, and I drained my bank account of every penny that I had. And then I walked in there when it had been gutted, and it was so big that I literally freaked out. I had a straight up panic attack. I was like, what did I do? Like, first of all, how am I going to fill this place? And second of all, if I do fill this place, what's it going to do to Stanton Social? Nobody will go to Stanton Social anymore.
Yeah.
And I was seriously concerned, but luckily that's not what happened. Both places stayed super busy. Stanton Social did close in 2018. After a 15-year run, we just couldn't come to terms on our lease. And it was a blessing in disguise, because if we had signed a new lease and then this pandemic happened.
Sure.
But you haven't seen the last of Stanton Social. We are looking also to bring that back, possibly in New York, possibly in Las Vegas. We talk about it for Los Angeles. I mean, we don't have anything concrete, but we definitely want to bring it back in the mix.
Cool. And I'd be remiss if I'm sure they talk about it all the time, but I am like a Chopped junkie, and literally watch it every single day. DVR, watch it, eat dinner while I'm watching it. It's really like just a great show, And I used to be like, before this, I would be like hooked on like Top Chef or something like that, and it's a whole season. And it's like Chopped is like every day. It's like new competitors, new food, and absolutely, obviously love, not just blowing smoke. Love the episodes that you judge on. You're like super honest, but like fair, and like when you like something, you like something.
Yeah, I mean, I've found my way. I mean, I started doing that show in 2008, which is just crazy to me. 13 years. I was young, I was thin, I was handsome. now I'm maybe I'm handsome. I don't know. But definitely not young or thin. I've definitely found my voice, I think, in the show, and I think it shows. I mean, I'm just I'm just like I'm a huge boxing fan. MMA too, but boxing is really like.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I got a real problem with boxing. We can talk about my problems in a minute. But if you follow boxing closely, if you're a dork about boxing, then you know the names of the referees and stuff. And there's a referee, Joe Cortez, who always says, I'm fair, but I'm firm, And I feel like that's how I am on Chopped. I feel like I speak my mind, but I also I try to find the absolute good in every dish. I try to find all the little flaws, because it usually typically comes down to just a few flaws. I mean, it's cliche. We always find ourselves saying it was really close at the end, but it's not really cliche. It's very rare that there's a blowout there because it's really hard. Shit's hard, man. I've competed a bunch of times. I've won sometimes. I haven't won others. It's hard. And so it's under that pressure of 20 minutes or 30 minutes to try and make sense of 4 ridiculous ingredients and make like a really flawless dish. I mean, I could count on one hand how many times it's probably happened in my experience. So people make mistakes or people make unintentional mistakes. So it really usually does come down to just a few small things.
How long is a day of shooting on that? I always wondered because there's got a lot of production that goes into that.
A lot shorter than it used to be, but it's still a good 10 or 11 hour day for us. And for the camera operators and like the producers and the directors, it's probably closer to 12 or 13 hours, maybe even 14 for some of the producers, because they start early in the morning with the chefs, and then when it's all over, they do like post interviews with the last couple of chefs. So they're there pretty late. For us, for the judges, we usually I got it the best because I don't have any hair and I don't really use that much makeup. Well, maybe I should use more. I don't know, but so I get the late call times, but usually, I'm there. I wake up. I have to wake up a good hour before they pick me up because it takes me an hour to wake up, and then I get driven there, and then you get your hair and your makeup, and then you get your ingredients, and you get your bios on all the chefs, and you have like another hour to just have some coffee and learn what the ingredients are. And sometimes if the ingredients just seem like too hard, we have an opportunity to actually go to them and say, you know what, this is going to be, we're not going to get good food. We should replace one of these ingredients or whatever.
I feel like eating some good today. I don't want to have this.
It doesn't happen that often, but sometimes it does. And then we shoot, but we all shoot in one studio, so they have to change the lighting and the backdrops. It looks like you're moving to a new place, but everything's actually really close and contained, and we just have to. It's a lot of TV trickery to move it around. So it ends up being a pretty long day.
So I was always wondering with the behind the scenes with the chefs. Like I know that I've heard that Chopped is under the reality umbrella is no scripts, real as it gets. But when a guy comes on, is like, I lost my father. I did.
Chris is like, yeah, that's great, but your risotto is shit, so I have to chop you.
That's the thing, right? That's the thing. I think one of the reasons why the show is popular is because it's so real. Because a lot of times, it really, at the end of the day, it comes down. You can't eat a story, and it comes down to the food that they prepare. And so it sucks sometimes because sometimes you've got the dude who's got the mom on who's got organ failure and on dialysis and no insurance. And then you got the guy who's like, you're wondering if he's like stoned right then and there. And he's like, I want a surfboard with this money. And you've got to give it to him because his food was actually better, and it breaks your heart. But
now, do you know that ahead of time though? Like, do you know that all right, there's this guy coming on. He's got their backstories pretty much. Like,
I mean, we get not really. We get more of like a bio of where they're from, why they started cooking, where they are cooking now, what their family situation is, and sometimes you get a small hint of something, but they like to let it be organic so that when the story is told, they get real reactions out of the judges as opposed to.
That's what I'm guessing. Yeah. Was it
so?
Any times that you had to have any words with anybody? Like that has never been on camera, that has they're like, all right, fucking cut.
There's one guy, Brandon. He's my nemesis. We actually have become friendly. He's completely the opposite of me. I'm kind of rough and tumble and rock and roll, and he's very I don't know, fucking American Psycho, Christian Bale, American Psycho, very
I know the guy. He looks like him.
Yeah. And we definitely, he was on the show a couple times, and we definitely got into it. They show some of it. Some of it's been edited out. I've gotten angry at a few people. Mostly, I don't get angry. I get angry when, if you're rude to our camera operators who work so really hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sometimes you get a chef who's freaking out in the moment and is will tell the camera operator, get the fuck out of my way or something like that. And it's dude, we get it. It's stressful, but don't talk to a crew like that. You know?
Yeah.
So stuff like that has happened. And then like sometimes chefs, when they get chopped, usually most of them, I can tell you because I've been chopped several times now.
Yeah.
As chefs, you know what you did wrong. You get it. So it's really like 90% of the time they get it. They know. They're expecting it. But then you do get that 10% that just are like, you guys just don't understand my food. Like your palate's just not elevated enough. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
So you got to deal with those guys too.
Excuse me for going back, but this just really popped in, and I'm curious about this. Speaking of palates, with COVID, how is your palate? Because you're a fucking chef.
It's fine. It's fine. I lost a little bit of that way back a year ago, but everything came back. Everything. Matter of fact, it made me kind of reassess. I was a fat fuck, and drinking too much. You know what I mean, and stuff. And so getting that sick, I was really sick. And
gotcha.
When that was over, I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And so that was part of the lifestyle change, was moving to LA and being really active. I go on hikes all the time. I'm training at Wild Card with Freddie. I'm drinking juices. My wife and I were long distance for 4 years, and she's super healthy and great. So I was kind of like, I'd come to LA and be healthy, and then I'd go back to New York and party with my friends till 5 o'clock in the morning. Sure. So I'm like, just coming out of being sick, I was like, I think I need to change the scenery. I mean, New York will always be home. I'll be in New York once a month for, a week. I'll see my friends. We will go out. We will have fun, but I can't have it be like in front of me 24/7. Like,
gotcha.
And it's not just going out and drinking. It's like it's just like eating burger after burger or pizza after pizza. Like here, I do that, but I'm drinking my juices and I'm eating healthy a couple nights a week and stuff like that. So I actually like it. I feel fantastic.
Good. You look happy as shit. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. For 50 years old, I feel a lot better than I have in a long time.
Good, brother.
Talk about training at Wild Card. That's got to be crazy. I mean, Freddie Roach is an icon.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So getting to my problem. I'm obsessed with boxing. Obsessed. I have over 10,000 fights on DVD. I have a boxing magazine collection that goes back to the 1920s that I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars curating. I have so many boxing magazines that I've run out of room. I've got them everywhere. I don't miss a fight. I got all the streaming services. I buy every single pay-per-view. Back before COVID, I went to as many fights in Vegas as I could. And so it goes back to when I was a kid, and I'm a historian, and I've yet to meet anyone who knows, there are people that know as much as me, but I've yet to meet anybody that knows more than me. Like I tell you, the champion of the WBC in 1972 was, or whatever. I can't test me, but I was at the Staples Center for the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight, the first one.
Oh wow!
And Freddie Roach walked by, and I was explaining to my wife who he was and what a legend he is. Manny Pacquiao's trainer, but also all the stuff with his Parkinson's and just how he's going to be what a story he is. And that year, I guess it was 2019. She didn't know what to get me for Christmas, and she walked into Wild Card and was like, my boyfriend at the time, my boyfriend's like a huge fan of Freddie's. Is there any way that I could buy like a session for him to train? And they were like, no, that we don't do that. You know what I mean? Like Freddie only trains his pro fighters and whatever. But two things happened. She didn't talk to Freddie herself. She talked to Marie, who kind of runs Freddie's business. Two things kind of happened. One is that Marie brought it up to Freddie, and it turns out that Freddie watched me on TV and was a fan.
That's nice.
Also, my Natalie, my wife, was so passionate about like me wanting this that they called her back and said, like, not only like did you change our minds, but Freddie's going to do it, and he's going to do it for free. He's happy to do it. So,
oh wow, that's awesome.
So I went in there for what was originally supposed to be one session, and I went there and I was super nervous, even though I've been boxing since 1996, and I trained at Gleason's in Brooklyn for 14 years, but but so I trained with Freddie, and it was a great experience, whatever. But I really thought that was going to be it. And then they were like, "Do you want to join the team?" So I was like, "What?" And so now I'm, really lucky that I'm one of only a very small few people that, So there's two gyms there. There's the gym that there's the sort of the main gym that anybody can work out in, and then there's the private gym where he trains the Pacquiaos and the Cottos, and I get to work out in that gym, which is like incredible. If you know me and how much I love boxing, like it is just an incredible luxury, and I couldn't be more grateful to them, and they're so nice and so cool. But the other thing is like I've lost 35 pounds since I started there because you can't fuck around there. Like all the other fighters that you're training alongside are real fighters, like fighting on TV. Like if you are slacking, like you're in there now, you're just in their way. You know what I mean? You got to work really, really hard. And so as a guy that's about to turn 50, it was a real struggle. It's still a struggle. Who am I kidding? But it was at first I thought I couldn't hang. Now I think I'm starting to hang a little bit. So it's cool.
That's awesome. Talk about motivation to go to the gym.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking cool.
I always drive there going, "Oh, this is gonna fucking suck," and then I always leave there going, "Wow, that was amazing." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same emotion every day.
When was the last time you actually did you fight at all? Like, did you?
No, I mean, I fought thousands of, not thousands. I sparred hundreds of rounds at Gleason's gym in Brooklyn. I actually got in the ring with some pros. I remember. I mean, we're going back to the 90s now, but I was in really good shape. I was going to the gym 6 days a week before work, and I was sparring with a lot of fighters, and I ended up sparring with Roy Jones. I didn't spar with Roy Jones, but Roy Jones was fighting at Radio City, and he was fighting his number one contender, this guy David Telesco, and I ended up sparring for a whole week with David, and that was kind of like the pinnacle of where I got, was that I was sparring with the number one ranked light heavyweight in the world and giving him decent work until the last day when he knocked me the fuck out. But up until that point, I was doing great.
Yeah.
And I fought a lot of pros, and a lot of amateurs that were training for like Golden Gloves or whatever. I started a little late. I have mixed feelings about it because I'm very successful and I can't complain about my life, but I have so much passion for boxing. And just even the other day at Wildcard, there's a trainer who came in from another gym for sparring, and he's not a Wildcard guy. And then I was working out or whatever. When it was over, he's like, "How old are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm 50. He's like, "Oh, did you ever fight?" And I was like, "Well, not really." I kind of told him the story I just told you, but he was like, "Oh man," he's like, "You look great." He's like, I thought you were an ex-fighter." I mean, that's a great compliment for someone to think that. So it makes me think that if I started, really young, I could have maybe been a contender.
I could have been. I swear, I was just about to do it. I was like, fuck it.
But whatever. It is what it is. I'm training at Wildcard now. It's great. I'm probably going to start sparring at some point this year. I haven't sparred since 2010, so that'll be nerve-wracking, but also fun.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's also kind of how I became a fan of yours. Like you would talk on, especially on Chopped, a little bit about boxing here and there. You'd mention it and being a boxing fan. And I would read articles, and like how you were like a historian of the sport. I've graduated more into the MMA world, but loved boxing coming up, and I'm actually getting back into it now. Archie, one of my favorite bands ever is Pantera. Phil Anselmo, the singer, is a huge boxing fan.
Yeah.
And he's like yourself, a historian of the game. And segueing into, we lost Saturday, a legend, Marvin Hagler.
Wearing his shirt right
there
now.
It is.
I'm wearing it right now. Marvin Hagler.
When I was younger, he was probably my favorite fighter. Best middleweight that I've seen.
Yeah. So that deeply hurt me on Saturday night, and it hurt me for a reason that most people wouldn't understand. It hurt me because my grandfather took me on his knee and taught me about boxing. And I remember the last fight that we watched together before he passed away was Marvin Hagler against John Mugabe, which was the fight he had right after Tommy Hearns and right before Sugar Ray Leonard. And it was a war, 11-round war, great fight. And I can remember my hair standing up on my arms right now. I can remember I wasn't on my grandfather's knee at that point because I was a teenager and that would be weird. But, the last fight we watched together, and I just remember what a great fight it was. And that was really, Marvin Hagler was like really my entry into boxing. And he is my favorite. I have a home gym here as well. Turned my garage into a boxing gym. Nice. And I've got Marvin Hagler. I got like all his Sports Illustrated covers framed, and it's a shrine basically to Hagler in there. And so for him to die at 66 was pretty shocking. And like, it really. I mean, it was like it hurt. It hurt. But I'll tell you, boxing. There's a lot of good. If people. Everyone's always on the boxing is dead train, but I'll tell you right now, 2021, like there's so many divisions that are cracking, and the sport looks really, really healthy. And the fights are really starting to deliver. And one of the best things about it is I think they're learning from the UFC. We went through a long period where the best boxers didn't fight the best boxers. You know what I mean? And I think
that's the main difference. I think right now.
Yeah, and it's starting to get better in boxing because they're learning from the UFC a little bit. I love UFC too. Don't get me wrong, but boxing's always going to be my number one. But I do love MMA. I was dumb enough to. No, I was not dumb enough. I bet against Amanda Nunes last week. I figured it was worth
throw
it.
a couple bucks on that was a huge. If Megan Anderson actually won the fight, you would have won a ton of money, no matter how much money you bet.
Yeah, I bet $1,000 on her. I was like, the woman is 6 feet tall. She's like, I don't know, she's got something about her, and. I was thinking that maybe parenthood might have softened Amanda Nunes, not thinking that, in fact, it made her more of a lion now. Did.
It's so funny because my brother is he's an amateur fighter. He'll have a pro fight, I'm sure. But he I was talking with him and he's heavily into like betting, and especially in MMA. And that was my reasoning too. I'm like, well, this is the first fight Amanda Nunes is now a parent. I go, and Megan Anderson is she has that long reach where you kind of think you're out of her range, but you can still get clipped. And I said, if she wins, I feel like that's how it would happen. But I didn't know if Boss put any money on it.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. Whatever. It's okay. I don't know. I've turned on Masvidal. I really liked him for a minute, but now I'm like not feeling him so much anymore. I don't know if you guys follow him on like social media, but like there's a certain there's a fine line as when you're a fighter, whether it's boxing or MMA, like there's two kinds of cocky. There's cocky that's like fun and you can get behind it. And then there's cocky that's just like, shut the fuck up. Like, stop.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's unfortunately crossed that line into like, I don't know.
Conor territory.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, Conor's something. I'll say the guy's lost more than he's won, in the last
couple of years, yeah.
4 or 5 years,
yeah.
And he's arguably still the big, as big as it gets. So like it's crazy. It's really,
that's how Masvidal is one of the biggest draws right now, right? And now he just talked himself again into a fight with Kamaru Usman for the middleweight title. I feel like this one, if he's beaten definitively again, I mean, I don't know that you get too many more big money fights out of him.
He did take that last fight on like 6 days' notice when they fought. Time. So, fair play to him. He tried. Now with a proper training camp, we'll see. But Usman looks tough to beat, though, to me.
Yeah, Usman looks like he's, and it sucks because the guy, they still haven't really put a ton of respect on his name, and he just wins and wins and wins. And these aren't like fluke wins. He's beating people. You know what I mean? So that wrestling game is strong and his top game is strong. So.
Be curious to see how John Jones does as a heavyweight. I don't have high hopes.
Yeah, you know what? He I don't know, because in 205, so I feel like his knees and his kicks are more powerful than his hands, and I think at heavyweight, man, if you don't have that knockout power with these killers, they're like Ngannou and
Eric Lewis.
Yeah, exactly.
He loses every second of every fight until he knocks you out.
Yeah, until he hits you with a friggin' brick.
It's crazy. That guy has won more fights like that. Like he just looks like terrible, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's over.
What's your take on the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight? Now I know you're a boxing purist, right? So you have a YouTuber fighting an MMA fighter, and it's boxing, and it's kind of weird.
Unfortunately, it is weird. I don't know. I don't know. I think Jake Paul is taking it seriously in the sense that I feel like he's really developing some skills, but I mean, he's also challenging. He's challenging everybody. You know what I mean? No, he talks shit about Canelo. Like, fuck off. Like, come on. Canelo would snap your
Murder him. Yeah.
With gloves on. But I don't know if Ben Askren's really a good stand-up fighter. So, and Jake Paul's big for the weight, and I don't know. I think Jake Paul's going to win.
I tell you, Ben Askren Ben Askren from MMA was straight up wrestler. I don't think he ever paid any attention and or trained seriously striking. Because his striking, no disrespect, he would murder me, obviously, but his striking just looked terrible for MMA.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And it looks like Jake Paul has a couple years in now where he is, like you said, taking it seriously. Askren's gonna have a couple months to take it seriously if he does. And it's gonna be weird.
And Mayweather was going to fight Logan Paul, which is even worse because Logan Paul hasn't even won a fight yet. He's 0-1. That's dumb. That's just dumb. I would love to see Jake Paul get in there with, somebody legit to just put him in his place. But also, I have a lot of respect. I don't like the whole YouTuber culture kind of coming into my sport, but I do respect anyone that gets in the ring has got my respect. And so he's doing it. He's putting in the work. He's a jackass, but he's putting in the work, and I have to respect that.
Now, did you watch the Tyson Jones Jr. card?
I did.
What did you think?
I'd like to see more of it. I think that if I want to be very careful with how I choose my words here. I get that boxing is a potentially lethal sport, but if you're gonna sanction, there's literally thousands of boxers that have records like 2 wins and 14 losses or 6 wins and 30 losses that get fed on by contenders coming on the way up. All you have to do is go to boxrec.com and look at any fighter who's ever made it, and look at their first 10 or 12 fights, and everybody that they fought was like 4 wins and 15 losses. Yeah. If you're going to sanction those fights, I think that if you're 45 or 50 or 55, like Evander Holyfield, if you could pass the medicals, then I think you should be allowed to fight, and it doesn't need to be an exhibition. So I think there's an ageism problem in boxing, like, or at least there's like, do it. If you're not going to let the old guys fight, that's fine. But at some point, stop letting the guys that can never win a fight either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Correct.
So I would love to see Tyson and Holyfield do it a third time. I'd love to see them do it at 8 rounds. They could be 2-minute rounds, but let's not call it an exhibition. Let's have it be a fucking fight.
I heard Tyson was saying that he didn't go full throttle.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that he did or he didn't. I will tell you that it should be. And he got really big and fat for a while, and he definitely got himself in great shape. But he wasn't in there were some photos leading up to that fight that were clearly photoshopped. I mean, he looked like a Roman gladiator. He didn't quite look like that on fight night, but
I think I was pleasantly surprised because your expectations aren't high. You're not seeing a Canelo fight. You're seeing guys that fought in the past were legends, and now they're of a certain age. And I thought it was good. I thought I was entertained by it, and I think that's all you could ask for.
Yeah, I thought it was entertaining. Holyfield looks like he's in great shape. I would love to see him fight Tyson. If you can get in shape, I don't know. You're getting hit in the head. I feel a little wishy-washy about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I would say I'm pro. I'm pro. And I think by doing shorter rounds and 2-minute rounds and only 8 rounds, that helps. And then there were bigger gloves, I think.
Yep. And I think the refs have to have a very, very short leash. Like, for sure. 3 unanswered shots, and you're pretty much all right. Let's keep a close eye on it and stop it.
They made a ton of money, and Tyson and Holyfield will make a ton of money too, because people just want to see if Tyson has like a PTSD moment and tries to go after the other ear.
Yes. Oh my God, that's funny.
What do you? Who are some of your favorite boxers that are out now?
So Canelo Alvarez has turned me. I didn't really like him for a while. I'm a big GGG fan, and I thought that I don't agree with the decisions of those two fights. And then there was that thing where he ate the bad meat, which was the steroid test, whatever. And I wasn't whatever. But yeah, there's no doubting now. I mean, he's the best fighter on the planet, and what's rare about Canelo is he's offensively elite and he's defensively elite.
Yeah,
you don't usually get that. So there's nobody beating him. There's nobody beating him unless, I mean, it's going to be whoever beats him is like an amateur still right now, or is like just starting. We haven't heard his name yet. So he's, is he my favorite? Like as a fan, like, no. Is he my favorite as in, do I think he's the best fighter in the game? Yes. I'm super excited about, I think that if they can make the fights, there's a lot of great welterweights. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence would be an amazing fight. Then you go down a lower weight. You got, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, that whole crew, if they can actually fight. And Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua apparently signed a 2-fight deal this week. It got leaked by Eddie Hearn. I don't know if it's really official, but those are really interesting fights. Tyson Fury, that guy's a freak. At 6'9", he moves like a light heavyweight. He's got great head movement. He's light on his feet. I can't believe what he did to Wilder in the rematch.
Well, you were saying you were at the first fight, and that fight he got dropped and he sat up like the fucking Undertaker.
Yeah, so, I was ringside. I was just a couple of rows away, and I was when after he dropped him, I was in the corner that Wilder walked to, and basically was already celebrating. So I almost reach out. I was going to third row, basically reach out and touch the ring. But looking across the ring, my eye level I could see him, and it looked like he was dead. And it was like an Undertaker moment. Like he got up, it was like, what? And then a minute later, he's got his hands behind his back, taunting Wilder.
That's crazy.
What is up with this dude? And he's won me over too. Like I used to find him annoying. I used to find his voice and his routine and his shtick annoying. His
approach,
but now he's kind of won me over. I kind of like it. So he's probably my favorite heavyweight right now.
Nice. Well, like you said, I think boxing has taken a cue now from UFC or mixed martial arts, where if you want this sport to grow and succeed, the best guys got to fight the best guys, and that's how it was back in the day, and that's how it should be. And you talk about Hagler, Hearns, Sugar Ray, like those, the best guys are fighting the best guys then, and I think that's the recipe for success for sure.
No, for sure. I mean, I think that's how the money. What boxing had the stigma for a while, where you couldn't have a loss on your record, but and that's another thing about UFC is UFC's taught you that you can lose fights and still be a star, aka Conor McGregor. So I think boxers are more willing and promoters are more willing to let boxers take the loss. As long as they perform well, it's still a win. Yeah,
I mean especially with MMA, sometimes records don't mean shit. It's who you fought, when you fought them,
right? Sure.
And that kind of thing. And I think boxing would do itself a service by letting guys fight the best guy. You get a loss, it's okay. It's not going to kill your career. You'll bounce back.
Yeah, I really do see that trend happening. Like I said, I watch every single fight there is, and there's a lot of boxing. Like this Saturday, for instance, there's an ESPN Plus card at 10 a.m. There's my time Pacific. There's a DAZN card at 1 o'clock, and then there's another DAZN card at 9 o'clock. And between the three of them and the undercards and the prelims, you're looking at 16, 17 fights. And that's been kind of during the pandemic. That's been almost every Saturday. And I've been noticing that the quality of the undercard fights have gotten much, much better. Instead of just being squashes and just wipeouts, they're getting much better. So I have hope that. But what I don't want is Dana White coming over to boxing like he's threatening to do. We don't need him there.
Boxing doesn't need him.
No, and I wish he'd pay his fighters more. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah,
it's another episode. The whole episode.
We had a John Fitch on the podcast probably 6-7 months ago, UFC fighter, and he gave his whole opinion about how fighters are paid and the whole Dana White thing. And
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's not. You're not talking shit. You're just telling the truth. UFC guys just don't get paid what pound for pound what boxers get paid, and they're really and they're in there. They're the ones in there. I love Dana White, and I think Dana White should be a multimillionaire or 100 millionaire, or whatever you want to call it. But he's also not the one taking the punches, and I think he could do with a little less.
Yeah.
And give everyone else a little more. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
Well, before we let you go, we just want to talk a couple minutes. Blacklight Media.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Dude, when I talked to Rocco, he said, we were going to have you on. I researched you a little bit, and Blacklight Media came up, and I went, oh, that's right. What, 4 or 5 years so far, or maybe even longer you've had this?
4.
First, Good Tiger. Because of Blacklight Media, I've heard of them. Like, now that's really fucking cool. I put them in my rotation. I like them. How did this start? If you just want to give us a little bit.
Yeah. The short version is there's a guy named Brian Slagle. Brian Slagle owns Metal Blade Records. Metal Blade Records is the largest independent heavy metal record label in the world. They've been around for 38 years. He discovered Metallica and Slayer, gave them both their big breaks, and is kind of a legend because of that. And growing up as a teenager, I knew who Brian Slagle was because I bought all the Metal Blade records every Saturday. And so fast forward to about 8 or 9 years ago. So one of my very good friends is Kerry King from Slayer.
Yep.
And Brian is friends with him. And then also Brian is friends with this guy, Johan, from a band called Amon Amarth. And long story short, I know Johan. Johan asked Brian if he knew me. He had heard of me, but he didn't really know me. Kerry kind of did the same thing. So we all ended up finding ourselves at a Slayer show at Madison Square Garden. I met Brian. We became like brothers, like overnight.
Yeah.
And so he started coming to my house when he was in New York. We'd hang out, and then we'd go back to my house, and I would like play him a bunch of bands that I was into. And he like ended up started signing bands based on my recommendation. Like he had never heard it before. And so after a while he was like, you got a great year. And he's like, we've signed like 5 bands, because you brought it to my attention. We got to do a label. And I was like, I don't have any time for that. And he was like, we'll do all the heavy lifting. Like, you just keep doing what you're doing. You keep finding great music. And then, we'll do a lot of the stuff in the background. So we've grown it kind of slowly. And we just did actually, our most aggressive year of signing. We just signed like 4 bands that we will announce shortly, and they'll have records coming out in 2022. We're growing it slow, but I actually just launched my first podcast through Blacklight Media. We haven't put one out yet, but I've recorded 11 different ones with a bunch of different heavy metal guys.
Oh wow!
And we're really excited about the label. It's cool. It's cool because it gives Metal Blade a label that they can sign a band like a Good Tiger, because Good Tiger's like they're all over the place. There's definitely metal elements, but they're a little bit more proggy and rock. Yeah. And so that's kind of and my love for metal has I grew up in the 80s, so I grew up literally. I was 16 years old in 1986, so like I literally was getting coming of age with metal when Metallica and Slayer and all those bands were coming out, but also Motley Crue and all that stuff. And I loved all of it. You know what I mean? I didn't go to just one side or the other. And so the label's kind of like the same way. Like you can find stoner metal, you can find doom metal, you can find thrash metal, you can find like the progressive rock band. We got a band called Mother Feather that's like not even nearly metal. They're like Blondie and meets Kiss, like what I mean? So it's cool. And it's been a really great experience, and I work on it, a lot. It's become a little bit, it's a job now. But again, it keeps me out of trouble, keeps me out of the late nights. I sit at home and listen to demos now instead of going out late.
I was just going to ask you, are you like one of the final says? Like,
Yeah. So typically what happens is I find a band that I like, and I start, I kind of start. I let Brian listen to it if he likes it, and we kind of let the office listen to it. And the office has a bunch of people. There's like in the LA office, and if they like it, usually we'll then. It depends on the circumstance, but a lot of times we'll have the European offices listen to it. But if everyone's pretty much on board, then it's a go. It's very rare that I'm not able to get what I want, so to speak. But sometimes there are circumstances. I mean, there are some bands that I like, but they're just so brand new, that it's just a little early to take a bet on them. Or bands that you love, but you reach out and you talk to them and you realize that they're all in their 40s and they've got kids and they can't really tour. And so that's not really, we want to sign bands that, we want to break new bands. That's important. We don't want to do like comeback records, which we've had the opportunity to do, and no disrespect to those bands that approached us, but we don't want to do that. We really want to break new bands, but we want bands that are hungry and want to get on the road and do that, really live this,
Yeah.
So it's, and then you got to have a band that's, good, that's good live, sounds good live. So there's a lot of bands that I love, and then you start pulling up YouTube clips of their performances, and you're like, yikes. I actually went to London to check out a band that I really was really psyched about. Brought one of the highest people in the Metal Blade organization with me. We were like, fuck it, let's go to London and check out a show, and then if they're great, we'll walk right up to him after the show and offer him a deal.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was like they were like the worst band ever. It was so disappointing. But it was like, well, we're in London. Let's get some fish and chips and drink some beer. Fuck it.
Don't make it a wasted trip.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so like I'll do that. Like I'll travel to I'll travel all over the United States if I like a band. I really would prefer to see them live before we sign them, but it's not always possible. And now with the pandemic, it's been really hard.
If 15-year-old Chris Santos knew you would have a metal label or rock label, restaurants,
cookbook,
training with one of the best boxing trainers in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Pretty fucking crazy, huh?
Really, really crazy. Yeah. At any point in my life, it would have been crazy. I had a decade of. I was pretty hellacious for a decade of
Gotcha.
to handle both ends, and so now I'm going the complete opposite direction. It's like it's great, and it's fun. I'm having fun instead of just like putting my nose down and working, which I did for a lot of years. I'm actually just like working, but I'm having fun with it.
Well, Rocco and I definitely all wholeheartedly appreciate your time, man. Like,
no doubt.
Happy 50th coming up, my friend.
Yes.
Real quick, we want to send you a T-shirt. What's your size? And we'll talk to your assistant where we can send it.
Yeah, large.
That's right. No fucking extra large anymore, pal.
That's it.
He keeps drinking that green juice. I don't know.
Chris, where can everybody find you? Tell everybody where you throw it out.
Santos Cooks is easy enough. On Instagram, Santos Cooks, my last name and what I do for a living. You can Blacklight Media Official for the record label. My restaurant company is called Tao Group. Beauty in Essex is my flagship that I basically am at all the time. So you just type in Beauty in Essex, and then all those links will come up for all the different cities.
Awesome.
Yeah, Santos Cooks is really a good place to go. Or Chef Chris Santos on Facebook for the foodies out there. That there's a lot of foodie stuff on there.
And they can go on Amazon and buy your cookbook, Share.
Share, yep. It's called Share. And you can get that on Amazon.com. That's right. I also have a barbecue sauce and a salsa verde that's available on highriversauces.com. I have a boxing home fitness product called Quiet Punch, which is doing amazing.
Awesome.
You can go to quietpunch.com. It's super cool because it's like a portable, heavy bag, very lightweight, very inexpensive. You could actually travel with it if you're a business traveler. You should check it out at quietpunch.com. It's a really cool setup. What else can I sell? I think that's it. I think that covers most of the bases. Check me out on Chopped Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern or 10 o'clock Eastern. Depending on the week.
Well, we can't wait this summer. Out in Jersey, we're gonna have your ribs, bro. We're gonna take a picture. We're gonna send it to you.
Yeah, definitely do. Love it. I love it.
Awesome.
Listen,
really cool
man,
guy.
we really appreciate it. Like I said, we're huge fans. Keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much. It means the world to us. You gave us some time tonight, and we really appreciate it, brother.
My pleasure. I had a blast. Thanks for having me.
Stay well. Talk soon.
All right, be good, guys.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the great Chris Santos. Rock, I don't know about you, My man cooks. He likes booze. He loves MMA. He loves metal music. This might be our new best friend.
He's a fucking boxer. Like, Jesus Christ.
This might be our new best friend.
I think so.
Everybody out there, check him out on Chopped. Check him out. Beauty in Essex. I'm going to be there when it opens up.
I feel like I'm gonna be picking up that tab though. Is that?
and with that being said, Rocco, what do you have to say to the people?
If you just heard us talking to celebrity chef Chris Santos and you're not shocked, you won't be cock-blocked, photoshopped, dropped, or stopped, then you just listened to Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast.
We out.